Good morning, everyone, and welcome to today's lesson. Today we're going to talk about geckos in space. And I know this seems like two things that don't go together, but stick with me and you'll figure the whole thing out. So I want to start with this picture. And I don't know if anybody's seen this picture before, but this picture is about a year old. It came out last April. And does anybody have any idea what this could be? It's not a galactic donut. It's actually the first picture that was ever produced of a black hole. And a black hole is a place in space where the gravity is so strong that not even light can escape it. So how is a black hole made? It's made when a massive star dies and creates a supernova. Then what's left over is this. So for a long time we knew that black holes were out there, but we didn't have any way to visualize them. So a couple of years ago, a group got together, and this is scientists from all over the world, and they were using telescopes in the South Pole, and they were using radio astronomy, and it was an international team, and they collaborated. And collaboration is when people work together, and that's something that scientists always do. So they worked on this project, and they were able to create this picture using a computer program. And this is a picture of Dr. Katie Bowman. And this was the moment that that picture became available to the scientists who've been working on it. Look at that face. Is that not just pure joy and glee? And this picture went viral. Everybody saw this picture, and she became sort of like the lead person, the point of interest for this particular project when they came out with the picture, because this picture is just so delightful. It's so happy. And so you guys know that all of our animals that we have here are rescues, and that we always name them after scientists. Well, last April, we got two new additions to the family here at the Emerald Coast Science Center, and they are Crested Geckos. And so because we got them at about the same time that picture from the black hole came out, I decided that it would be a great idea to showcase that. So we named one of the Crested Geckos Katie, after Dr. Katie Bowman, and we named the other one Catherine, after Catherine Johnson. Now both of these women are involved with the studies of space, and we'll talk a little bit more about each one of them in just a second. But I'm going to get out our Katie. All right, this is Katie. Can everybody see Katie? She is a crested gecko. Now, crested geckos are from the Pacific Islands, and Katie and Catherine are about the same age. They're both about 7 years old now. In captivity, crested geckos can live 15 to 20 years. So let's take a look at their body style. Geckos are reptiles. You can notice something. She doesn't have any eyelids. So her eyes are always open, and she has this little bitty, you can see like fringe on the top of her eyes, and that's why they're called sometimes eyelash geckos as well. Another cool feature about these guys is that their feet. Their toes are covered with these little tiny hairs, and then those hairs branch out into little bristles. And those hairs on their toes allow them the ability to be able to walk on walls. So these guys are some of the original animal Spider-Mans. And scientists have been actually studying how that interaction works and how these guys are able to hang on the side of a wall or practically hang upside down, because they want to know how can we use this to maybe help soldiers climb walls, or to maybe use them to help seal wounds, the same type of technology. And actually what they're understanding is that it's called a Waals Force. And the Waals Force has to do with the attraction on the molecular level of the electrons between the hairs on the gecko and the electrons that are on the side of the wall. So this is nanotechnology. Oh, look at her. She wants to jump. Can you see her? She's like, where can I go from here? There she goes. Now, another feature about reptiles is that they shed. And we've talked about this before. Now, here's the cool thing about geckos. Like our snakes, when they shed, we always end up with a snake skin. And a gecko, you'll never get this shed. And that's because, are you ready for it? It's a little grody, okay? They eat it. Yes. So you can see them when they get ready to shed, and you can see she's really pretty and shiny and clear right now. But when they get ready to shed, their skin turns kind of opaque and it looks kind of gray. And they will take their mouth and they'll pull on it and they'll eat it. And there's a couple of reasons why they want to eat it. Number one is for nutrition. So they want to conserve all of the energy that they can, and they want to save those nutrients. But another reason is because they don't want to leave their shed behind, because they don't want a predator to know that they've been there or where they live. So that's the second reason why that they would eat their skin. So we know that we shed, right? We shed skin all the time. We shed it in 1 or 2 skin cells here and there constantly. But for these guys, when they shed all of those skin cells at a single time. And that's why it all comes off in one big piece that they will, pull at and pick at and eat time and time again. So, another thing about crested geckos and their eyelids. I'm going to put Katie up because I want to show you something. You ready? Oh, it's not the next one, is it?
It's the third one.
Okay, so I want to show you, this is a video that we took of Alfie. Alfie is our male crested gecko, so he lives by himself. Our 2 girls live together, but our male lives by himself. And you can see what he's doing. And you're going to have to just wait for it. Is it done?
Yeah, he did it.
Yeah. So that's how he keeps his eyes moist. So you guys got to see him lick his eyeball. Isn't that crazy? Can you imagine what it would be like if you could lick your own eyeball? There he goes. And he's done. So that happened here one day with Alfie, our male crested gecko that we have. And he's still a youngster, so he's not quite as big as Katie and Catherine are. And I don't know if I mentioned, but these guys can live 15 to 20 years. And our girls are about 7, and Alfie's about 2. So I'm going to grab out Catherine now. Oops, look at them. Look at them. No, I want to come too. Okay. So here's one of the things that I wanted to point out, the difference between Katie and Catherine. Is Catherine is missing something. Can you guys see what she's missing? You're right, she's missing her tail. So, what do you think happened to Catherine's tail? Well, here's how this works. Geckos can selectively drop their tail. So when she gets scared or feels threatened, okay, she can release her tail. Her tail will wiggle for a few minutes, and the predator will go after the tail, and then she can get away. Now, one of the things about crested geckos is they can't regrow their tail. So in the wild, you would see crested geckos. As an adult, they probably don't have their tail because they've already been threatened once or felt uncomfortable once, and they've dropped their tail. So for pet geckos, you can see Catherine still has her tail. Catherine, show off your tail. I'm sorry, Katie still has her tail. Show off your tail. And Catherine doesn't. And the family that donated them to us said that the dog scared Catherine, and that caused Catherine to drop her tail. Now, these type of geckos cannot regrow their tails. The leopard geckos can regrow their tails, okay? So they could drop them again and regrow them. What are you doing over there? Drop them again and grow them again. But these guys can't. So, oh, there she goes. Did you guys see that? They're great jumpers. And they also like to be up high. There we go. See? They're all climbing up to the top of my head. Okay. So, we'll see how well this is going to work. But I just wanted to tell you a little bit about Catherine's namesake. So Catherine was named after Katherine Johnson, okay? And Katherine Johnson was one of the original computers at NASA. And when I say computer, I don't mean this kind of computer, right? Nowadays we think of computer as a machine. But it used to be that computers were people that actually did computations, or they did math, and they did calculations. And so she was one of the original group of African American women that worked at NASA as a computer. So she did calculations. And some of the calculations that she did helped us to get to the moon. So she did some of the trajectory calculations. There's a lot going on back here in my hair right now. There we go. Thank you. So she did some of the initial trajectory calculations that helped us get to the moon. And she worked for NASA from the 1960s until 1986. Now, Katherine Johnson, this is when she was given the President's Medal of Honor, recently passed away. She passed away last month at the age of 101. And look at that, they're paying tribute to her. And you guys might be more familiar with Katherine Johnson than you were with Katie, is because Katherine Johnson is one of the key figures in the movie Hidden Figures that came out a couple of years ago. And that movie focused on this group of African American women and how they worked with NASA and some of the discrimination that they had to face during that time period. And it used to be that computers were originally women. They used to say, back in the time when a computer wore a skirt. And now in the computer science field, for some reason, the percentage of women that are in it is relatively low. And so that's one of the things that we need to work on as we move forward, is getting more representation of women. Oh, look at them. They're operating the iPad. It's those sticky little hairy feet that they have, right?
They want to play us.
Yeah. So, look, she's getting ready to jump again, too. You can see how she crouches like that. So, that's the reason why I wore this shirt today. I got this shirt at the Ontario Science Centre in Toronto. They hosted the Association of Science and Technology Centres conference last year. And I said, oh my gosh, this is an amazing shirt. What a great shirt to wear on a day when we're going to focus on two amazing women scientists. There we go. Named after, are you going to do it? The namesakes of our two crested geckos. Oh, this is so much fun. Touchscreen. Oh, look what all she's doing. Do you even realize what you're doing there, Catherine? Awesome. So, on a couple of notes as we wrap things up this morning, we're going to be doing these a little bit longer than we had originally planned, because we only planned to be doing about 2 weeks of them. So we do have some of our educators going to be doing some of them from home, and we will still be doing some Facebook Lives here over the next month. But you know what? We have some open gaps. And we're going to ask you guys to help us come up with some ideas of some lessons and activities. So what are you curious about? What is something that you would like to learn a little bit more about that you think that we can help you with? So please, feel free to comment or send us a message, and we'll definitely look into it. I will be back next Wednesday, and I'm so excited about this because you know what our topic is on Wednesday? It's poop. I know, it's going to be so much fun. I have so many animal poop samples. The actual word is called scat. So we're going to be talking all things scat on Wednesday. So be thinking about questions that you might have about that topic so that we can talk about them together on Wednesday. And until then, tomorrow is the Gulf Coast Science Festival. It was supposed to be in person, but because of what's happening, it's not. So please check it out. We're going to put a hashtag that will tell you about the Gulf Coast Science Festival, and they're going to be posting a lot of cool videos and activities as well, so you'll want to follow up with those over the weekend. And until next week, guys, stay safe and wash your hands.